Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri. Today I wanted to talk about thinking slow in the quant space here. There's been a meme going around, or was going around, and of course I'm always very late to these sorts of things. But there's a meme of Jim Simmons who apparently said, "I wasn't the fastest guy in the world. I wouldn't have done well in an Olympiad or a math contest, but like to ponder, and pondering things, just sort of thinking about it and thinking about it, turns out to be a pretty good approach." I think this is an excellent point in the quant space. I made a video long ago on thinking fast and thinking slow, and I think this has very muddied the water as we start to say quant is like this dirty word now, where it means trader, it means quant dev. It doesn't mean people doing actual model development or research anymore. Like, we've thrown it out the window. And it makes this seem very ugly and dirty. Those building models and doing research are quants. They think slow. That's the process. And I think this is what Jim Simmons is hitting on, which is going to be, you're given a problem. You can't Google the solution. It's not been solved. And you need to sit and you need to work through the problem itself. Look at all the tools you have. Try to figure out what are the requirements of the problem. Like, even just defining the problem is a challenging process for the business and for the users. And often you can't just say, what are you wanting? And then do that. You have to look at it and say, they're going to also need other issues and problems and things solved with that. Looking at edge cases and scenarios that could go wrong and the assumptions baked into this. You have to do this. It's a slow thought process. And then you start to look at all the tools and the training and education you have, and often you go and you look and you read and you solve things. We're not traders. We're not people on the front office. Quants are not front office. We're not fast thinkers. This is what Jim Simmons, I think, is hitting at. And I know a lot of hedge funds will go out and they'll hire math Olympiads, and there's nothing against that. Also, it shows IQ. IQ plays into the quant space here. But there also is a dynamic behind IQ of thinking fast and thinking slow and being confident in your decisions, seeing all the issues and planning this sort of thing out here. And that, I find, is what makes the best quants. So I've talked to a lot of quants over the years, buy side, sell side, all types of different funds. And we start to see that those that tend to just love education and those that like to sit and work through these problems do very, very well here. And I think any mature mathematician is going to be someone who doesn't like, oh, I did well in an Olympiad, like I'm really smart, I'm the best. That personality doesn't fit and jive well with the quant space here. People that do really well in quant finance are those that enjoy sitting and solving and working through really, really hard problems, but also can let go of the fact that it's not a complete solution. So in quant finance, we still have to make money. We still have to make a decision. And it's not about thinking fast and moving quickly. Like, that's what traders and front office analysts and strategy departments do. I ran a pricing and strategy department for a short period. That's not my job. That's not what I just love to do and really process there. It's about stopping, thinking, pondering, and working through these sorts of problems. And I often find one of these solutions is just calling up a friend, finding a friend, like phone a friend, and talking to them a bit about the problem. Of course, if it's proprietary internally in the company, you can't share too many details. But often I find it great to meet colleagues that are smart and insightful. And it's why I like to bring in really smart people in these firms that are slow thinkers. It's why I don't use math Olympiads as a filter. I know some firms do. I'm not saying that that's good or bad, that's up to you. But the teams I have built that have done the best and the smartest people I've known throughout the industry are typically those that are like Jim Simmons in the fact of they like to think, they like to ponder, they're slow. They're often grabbing a nice, slow, late coffee in the afternoon. They're talking to people and kind of working through complex problems on there. So I thought I would share that because I feel like the internet in general talks a lot about the front office. They talk about the quant devs, the computer scientists. They're talking about something that is not Jim Simmons, that is not quant finance. That is not going to be what firms are doing on the research side. And I mean, actual, true, rigorous, academically driven research, not just correlation chasing and pattern chasing on here. But we tend to have that mentality of slowness. And I would highly recommend and encourage people that are in math and stats. There are jobs like this. The big banks have a lot of these. There are also jobs on the investing side as well as hedge funds, but you have to be a little bit careful on both banks and investing firms, so sell side, buy side, because there are lots of small firms that just don't care and are chasing a buck. And there are also lots of jobs in these firms that are called quant jobs that are not quant jobs. And so the personalities and requirements for those are going to be different as well.